So we just got a major geopolitical update that may have a significant influence on what ends up happening with Tesla stock, and I want to go ahead and kind of just touch on what just happened. But before we actually break the breaking news, I want to go ahead and highlight what my stance was previously on Tesla. See, just a couple of weeks ago, I made a video highlighting a bunch of reasons on why Tesla stock was likely to fall down pretty heavy, and that's exactly what we got. We had a lot of selling pressure, right? I'm not going to list all the reasons why I said Tesla stock was likely to fall down. You guys could just watch the video, but we ended up seeing Tesla stock fall down. And then I made a follow-up video around the $330 level, and I said that this was a very pivotal point for Tesla in terms of the price action, simply because we have this pocket of volume over here. And so if we see selling pressure take place, well, that could have the selling amplified, and we could see prices fall down very quickly. Or if the buyers step in, then this may be an area of support. And luckily, it ended up being for Tesla an area of support where we actually saw Tesla actually bounce up from here, right? I said that was a crucial area. I didn't say it was, exactly going to fall. I was just pointing out that, hey, when you have these volume pockets and you have either buying or selling pressure, that's where you have those big jumps. Similarly to where we saw over here, where we had a little pocket of volume, or, this pocket of volume, and we had buying pressure. It just jumped up. And so, as they're going down, it would fall down very quickly. That's just how you look at the volume profile, which is volume relative to price. But nonetheless, we saw Tesla stock push up. All good news. We're seeing the rebound, but we just got breaking news that I want to share with you guys. So President Trump just made this tweet, and you guys can see this is literally minutes ago, 2:35 p.m., February 17th. We won't read the whole tweet for the sake of this video. We only need to really read this part over here, right? So he said, on trade, I have decided for purposes of fairness that I will charge a reciprocal, it's funny how he writes in all caps, reciprocal tariff, meaning whatever countries charge the United States of America, we will charge them no more, no less. Then he goes on, talks about, the VAT system, the value taxes, etc. And this also, it all pretty much boils down to, just having these reciprocal tariffs. And what does this mean for Tesla, right? Because, of course, this could mean a whole bunch of things for a bunch of companies. But looking at Tesla and Silo, one thing that we have to understand is that this could potentially mean higher costs for Tesla vehicles, especially for the Chinese-made Tesla vehicles. We know that the Shanghai Gigafactory is the largest EV production site in the world, and it plays a critical role in its global supply chain. And so if we have Trump impose these reciprocal tariffs, then the Chinese-made, exports to the U.S. could face higher tariffs, which would increase the prices of some of the Tesla models in America. Now, of course, one thing that we could see is that Tesla either eats up the, what they have to pay, or they pass it on to the consumer. Either way, it's bad for the company, right? One way, if Tesla pays for it, well, they're reducing their profit margins, or if they pass it on to the consumers, well, demand falls. And so that's not pretty good for it. Puts Tesla in a very tight spot, because we know that Tesla, in the past has had a good relationship with China, but now we're having kind of these conflicting political ties. But, speaking about political ties, I want to go ahead and highlight something, right? So over here, we also got news from Financial Times how EVs like Tesla, right, could see the approval for its full self-driving, the FSD services, delayed in China due to the escalating U.S.-China trade war. And so this recent tweet that Trump made probably is going to escalate this a bit further. And China, especially since they're rolling out their own version of full self-driving with BYD in their company, they may kind of slow down on actually the agenda of allowing Tesla to deploy the approval of FSD. So not a good look, right? And this is why, I hate having to look at, just domestic politics or geopolitical politics, but it has a huge influence on what ends up happening with a company. I mean, especially domestically, we saw what happened during the election results, how Tesla just soared up, right? And it's kind of this idea of deregulation. This was going to benefit Tesla. And so, of course, you have to look at these other aspects. You can't just look at the fundamental numbers for a company or just the technical aspects, right? Because you have to look at the geopolitical perspective, because that could directly influence things that take place for the company from a fundamental standpoint, right? It's kind of not my favorite part of analysis, but something you have to look at. Now, something else I want to highlight, right, is this chart here from Troy Teslake. He's a analyst, or a self analyst, or I'm trying to think of the right word, but independent analyst is the right word for Tesla. I think he puts out great work. You guys could follow him on Twitter or at, now X. And he showed this chart here highlighting how we're seeing the sales in California versus the United States declined significantly. We saw this in Q4 of 2024, and I want to just read this post that he made on X here, just real quick, and I just highlighted, the important parts. So he mentioned that Tesla's sales in California dropped to just 26.1% of its U.S. sales, the lowest in the last 4 years, right? In other words, the left-leaning customers are turning away from the Tesla brand. Now, why is he highlighting this? Well, in previous videos, I've mentioned a lot about how we may have this decline in Tesla that, a lot of speculation is due to the fact of Elon having these political ties to the right. Now, he goes on to say that I've been considering ways to measure the impact of Elon's political action on Tesla sales. One approach is to track whether California's share of Tesla sales have been declining over time. And the reason why this is interesting is because we talked about how, in Europe and Germany, all these places in the United Kingdom, France, Tesla vehicle sales are declining, they're dropping like a rock, and a lot of people speculate, that it's due to the right wing kind of agenda that Elon has been kind of tying to, not just in the United States, but even in Germany, right, and all these other countries. So, Troy Teslake is like, hey, well, let's measure what California is doing, right? And he says that if there's a negative impact, it would likely be most noticeable in California, given that it's a left-leaning state. Everyone knows, California is a very left-leaning state. It's very liberal. It's not like, Florida, where, we're more towards the right, right? And so California is a big blue state, right? And so, those numbers that we just saw were pretty interesting to see that we are seeing sales decline rapidly in California, which could very likely be the fact that people towards the left are no longer, buying into the Tesla brand. Now, some people may say, okay, well, what about last year, Q4? We did see the numbers decline as well. Something else I want to highlight is that a few years ago, the Biden administration held an event for EVs, kind of just like, promoting them, right? And he invited all these EV US car makers, right? But Tesla was not invited, right? And so even from the previous administration, we kind of saw that the left was kind of separating away from Tesla and kind of like attacking them, I guess is a good way to say it. And so that could also be why Elon Musk kind of turned more towards the right, because remember, Elon used to be very much towards the left, and then towards the middle, I guess he would say, right, a moderate, which I think is fair. But in recent, I guess months, really, it's been, I guess, ever since the assassination attempt on Trump, that's when Elon kind of just went fully to the right side. But we've seen that the left has kind of been attacking Tesla for the last few years, and then now with Elon kind of making this, ties to the right, that's probably hurting the brand for those on the left a lot more, and we're kind of seeing that with the sales in California. So pretty interesting, right? Now, again, we are seeing Tesla, we recently seen it kind of bounce up from this pivotal area that I made a video. You guys could check out that video, I made it. It was one of my recent videos. But we bounced up. So good news for Tesla, but with this announcement, we may see the market kind of open and end up being a bit sour for Tesla unless we have some, additional positive news that could, override that news. But with the idea that we may end up seeing kind of Tesla getting caught up in the political ties between, the United States and China, and then of course with China now likely to delay their approval of FSD, it's not looking good for Tesla. So Tesla could face volatility, especially if, market participants fear that this trade war could get worse, and it looks like it may end up getting worse. Now, again, some people speculate, well, this is just Donald Trump doing the art of the deal. It's a negotiation tactic, and we'll have to see how things play out, right? Because, of course, some analysts right now are already downgrading Tesla stock, especially as they're seeing increased regulatory risks in China. And maybe this may just be all part of a deal that Trump is doing We'll have to see how things play out. We don't have a crystal ball, but I just wanted to provide that update. Now, some areas of resistance that we may end up seeing is right around over here, the 370 area. That could be an area of resistance. If we actually take a look at the Fibonacci's, that's actually where the Fibonacci's kind of have it around either as well, the 370. Not a big fan of using the Fibonacci's and using phi to go ahead and find, the golden ratios of price. I think it's, just not my favorite tool to use in terms of technical analysis, but we do see that we did kind of hold up over here in the past as areas of support, so that could very well be an area of resistance going forward. But you guys let me know in the comment section down below, is Tesla kind of in a hard, difficult place with China, especially this news that Trump is doing? Or is it really just all fugazi? It's just a negotiation tactic. Nothing really bad is gonna happen, and Tesla's still gonna go ahead and succeed. We'll have to go ahead and, of course, see how things unfold. But you guys let me know in the comment section below. And before you guys go, make sure to check out this video right over here where I break down line charts, or check out this video right over here where I talk about how I find great trades. Like, for example, we recently did very well on HIMS. And I'll see you guys on that next video. Take care.